Oop, not you. G3 and G3IQ. I hope I got that in the right order. Oh look, I did. So I'm just now noticing, and it's showing up really well on camera, that that's purple. I part swapped these guns, so this frame was on that and whatnot. But I'm just now noticing that the gun's purple. In the light, or just the sunlight, like here, it looks black. It's ridiculous. G3. It existed, and I felt it was worth talking about. Alright, so the Dangerous Power G3. For quick context, the G3 was Dangerous Power's mid-end gun, if that means anything, because everything Dangerous Power made was mid-end. It's a spool valve, and it's only 2 pieces. It's extremely simple. It gets good enough consistency and efficiency for what it is. But the issue with these guns, and basically the whole reason the company died, was reliability. The idea with the G3 is that it would just be so simple you couldn't possibly break it. So you could say it's only 2 pieces, your base and your bolt. Bolt's fairly simple, just a Venturi ported, thick front bolt. There's a lot of metal going back in there. You can see that those holes run really deep. They did make upgrade bolts. This is a Tech T bolt, but it's terrible. It doesn't actually work. If I put this in the gun, it jams up. It seems like it's milled just a little bit too thick for it to work, which is a shame because I could definitely see it getting a lot better efficiency. The back, the little bolt, consists of a bumper, the seal for the outside of the gun, and I don't know what the term for this is. It technically blocks off the reservoir. And all it is just a dump chamber. Essentially, it just fills this little section here. When you fire, that section opens, pushing the bolt forward, and anything stored gets shoved out the front of the bolt, shooting. So it's not exactly the most efficient design, but you'd think it's fairly simple. It would just work fine. The bolt design itself isn't even that bad. It's the fact that Dangerous Power didn't always use the highest quality materials. That center O-ring I showed you for the dump chamber, it has a habit of shredding itself. The regulators weren't all that good either. This is actually the regulator off an ion, which isn't a big step up. They had a habit of blowing seals, mostly the primary reg seal. Even though they made it extremely thick, it would use soft rubbers. Oftentimes the solenoids would have problems. That's an issue to this day. The company dissipated about a year ago now, and if your solenoid goes, you're pretty much screwed. This one's got a faulty board, which is why it doesn't work. Originally they had, you're not going to be able to tell, not a micro switch board, but an IR board, which was pretty good for a low-end gun. So there's no switch activation, it's just that little I-beam, which the trigger adjustment wasn't great, but it worked. This one works. It's got a 7th element board in it and an aftermarket trigger because this didn't have a little screw for the micro switch, so this does click pretty well. Here's an original regulator. You could say I had to put a new top on it because the original was stripping, again, poor quality parts. But what I did like that Dangerous Power did were these big flip-on ASAs. I didn't like that you can only have left or right, but again, pretty good for what you're paying for. These grips, pretty nice. ASA's nice. Reg, functional. I did get a nice pressure tester for the back here, which also acts as a toolless bolt release. The barrel isn't all that bad either. It's not exactly the same size, but I believe it's a 12-inch one-piece, which, again, not terrible. This gun was really trying to compete with the Mini, so that was pretty much the same barrel they had. They held this barrel over all the way until their final low-end gun. This gun would have retailed around $300, which again, for the features you're getting at the time, so this would have been like 2012-ish, isn't that bad. You got an on-off ASA, industry standard reg threadings, dye, laser eyes that weren't ribbons. These are actually cables, wires, they're not going to break. Multi-mode board, so you could make this NXL or PSP legal. Again, aftermarket board in this one. Poor quality, but still did work from factory. And you got a decent enough barrel, clamping feed neck, so it wasn't a complete piece of trash. The quality control was just trash. Using the G3 is extremely simple. Just flip the ASA on, push and hold, you're good to go. This board beeps. The factory board did not. Now, you can also force shot, so hold through. It'll fire, or just turn the eyes off, single click, and it's ready to go. This is a Dangerous Power E2. This is what the G3 kind of turned into. There was a G4, which barely existed and only changed the body milling, and there was a G5, but this is really what it ended up being. This was very, very low end, $200, but it's all aluminum, and you did have a multi-mode board, but it was only semi and full auto. It was uncapped semi, so a lot of fields didn't like it. They did revise the bolt for the E2 though. You can see it got the open face, more like the Tech T bolt. There's porting around the bottom, although I'm not sure what it's for. I think it's to prevent seal sticking. And you can see the base of the bolt turned into some kind of tree for whatever reason. As far as I could tell, it's not cross-compatible with the G3 or G5 platform, although the G5 did get this tree, as anytime I try to put it in, it either doesn't fire or simply leaks. But it seems like it's a better bolt, and because the gun was cheaper and hoseless, it did work pretty well. Again, not reliable. This one likes to dump air out the front, even though I fully rebuilt it. Get a chrono clock. 271, 276, 271, 263, 256, 268, 260. Okay, so it's a little low, right? And then, well, I hope we're in frame. I'm quite surprised I haven't had any barrel breaks despite this being not the greatest paint. Alright, let's just give it a rip here. Ooh, as I fire one off into the sky. Oh, that's force shot. Alright, let's just eyes off.